Too smooth that mud talking to have your ass in a wreck. Signing your check. Pussy better do what he says. We shutting down shows. Ain't gotta put no price in your head. Man, I'm coming for your tongue for all that shit that you said.
Gonna make the profiles boom, 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 boom. What it is, of course, I'm gonna tell you what it is. What it is a real story, a real profile, real life. And of course, it's Sunday, so you guys already know. Are you ready? For the millions in attendance and the thousands around the world, let's get ready to profile a wrestler. Professional wrestling, one of my favorite things to talk about. I don't really talk about much else, Sasuke, other than games, prison, lifestyle, blogging, things of that nature. But Sasuke, when I talk about wrestling, it's near and dear to my motherfucking heart, to my corazon, right? I love wrestling. I've watched it as a little kid. I grew up watching it every Saturday, every Sunday. I was hooked like phonics. I was right there, posted up, chilling, like a villain, doing what I did, right? Wrestling was a staple in my household. It was something that I grew up watching, something that kept me off the streets. Of course, I said fuck Tito Santana about 1989 and started to gangbang. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. What we're talking about today, as you can tell by that fucking thumbnail, is a profile on a man who's no longer with us, a man that took wrestling by storm. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna tell you from right here, from my perspective, I was always a big Hulk Hogan fan. Dun, 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 dun. And I'm talking about Cheech Marin, right? I was a big Hulk Hogan fan, but when the Ultimate Warrior came along, yes, the Ultimate Warrior, right? Things changed. People were divided. It was 50-50, right? It was like a 50-50 yard. You didn't know which side you were going to go on. People were definitely divided. This man took the WWF by storm. He came in running. He came in gunning. He had the physique. He had the look. He had the paint. He had the bright colors. He was what wrestling needed at that time because it was becoming stagnant. And what I mean by becoming stagnant, it was repetitive. You already knew Hulk Hogan was going to start fighting with someone. They were going to fucking milk it all the way to WrestleMania. He was going to body slam him and it was over again. And let's start on over. Orale, Yokozuna, vámonos. Kamala, vámonos. Andre the Giant, you already know, bitch. Sergeant Slaughter, with your big ass chin, right? This is how it was going to go down. And it played out like this over and over and over again constantly. Okay, but when Ultimate Warrior came along, there was something different in the air. There was a difference there. People started to actually believe this guy can beat Hulk Hogan. I know I did. And as a little kid, man, I'm going to tell you the exact moment I was when WrestleMania played out of the Ultimate Challenge, the greatest ever match between two individuals, man. The first time that it was title for title. You know what I mean? Everyone remembers where they were at. Everyone remembers where they were at when 9/11 happened. Everyone remembers where they were at when the Challenger exploded. Everyone remembers where they were at when OJ fucking butchered his old lady, supposedly, allegedly. Everybody remembers where they were at when Hulk Hogan fought the Ultimate Warrior, right? So let's talk about James Hellwig. You know, born June 16, 1959 in Crawfordsville, Indiana, comes this young kid named James Hellwig, okay? Now, of course, as a young kid, man, he wasn't too interested in wrestling. You know, quite contrary to what a lot of the wrestlers were hooked as kids and grew up wanting to be just that or sometimes stumbled upon the profession. He wasn't even interested in professional wrestling. That was not even on his radar. It wasn't something that he aspired to be. What he aspired to be was a bodybuilder. Now, what a lot of people don't understand, man, is a lot of bouncers, bodybuilders, weightlifters, people that are in that lifestyle kind of gravitate towards the professional sport of wrestling, the entertainment value in it, because it's an easy buck. It's an easy buck, but it's something you have to be dedicated and work hard towards. Now, you got to understand, a lot of these wrestlers back in them days, they were in the gym constantly, keeping that physique ready. You got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You had to have that look. Along with wrestling, that comes only the skills. You know, you could be trained by Baron Von Raschke. You could be trained by Dorian Terry Funk. You could be trained by whoever the fuck it is you're trained by, Killer Kowalski. But at the end of the day, Bret Hart's dad, Stu Hart, that, of course, is going to make you look good in those territories, but it's not going to give you that physique, that look, the look that all the fans crave. They want to see a big, swole, sweaty, dirty motherfucker in there knocking people out. This is what people like. This is what the gladiators put on in the Coliseum back, in the fucking whatever hundreds. This is what it is. People that thirst and their lust for blood and anger and drama and intensity. But they always want to see the big guy prevail. So now this guy was in the gym and he happened to run into a couple of wrestlers and started to conversate and become fast friends and hit a lot of roids together, and everything was everything. And then he said, hey, why don't you come trip out? So of course he went to the wrestling school, man. He started to get trained by several individuals who were notably known in the World Wrestling Federation throughout wrestling territories, and he got a tryout. He got a tryout, and he didn't just go straight into WWF. See, that's not what happens. WWF is the pinnacle. Hey, you, get off our mountain. That's the mountain. You don't go on top of the mountain. Okay, you start your way, just work your way from the bottom. It's like Burger King's. First you're on the fries, then you're on the grill. Now, what am I on? Sasuke, you're in the front counter. What am I on? I don't know what you're on. Holmes, I'm on my fucking coworker in the bathroom. Like, you feel me? Anyways, so he started to wrestle, and he took several names. He was Blade Runner. He was Jim Justice. He was the Dingo Warrior. You guys don't remember the Dingo Warrior. And several other names. The Ultimate Warrior is the name that he would make his name with. That was the persona. That was the character that he would build upon. And of course, in the later years, he would be known as just the Warrior, because ultimately Vince McMahon owned the namesake Ultimate Warrior. We'll get to all that. Anyway, so this man gets involved in wrestling. And he starts to build his way up. And it was about 1985-86 when he had his first wrestling match. And he was teamed up with several different individuals. He was teamed up with another partner named Jim Borden, and they formed this group called the Blade Runners. And they wore masks, everything. He always had that physique, so he stood out amongst his tag team partner. He stood out amongst the rest of the people in the arena. People could see some potential here with this body. Now, you got to understand, like I said, he was a bodybuilder for several years, so he kind of gravitated and slid right into that wrestling role. He had the body, but he was green as all can be. He was greener than Jolly Green Giant. That's que no amarillo. When I say Jolly Green Giant, I mean this guy could not wrestle worth a lick. He was just a big, good-for-nothing dummy. But at the same time, when you have that physique and you have that look, man, they're going to utilize that to the best way possible. Whatever works for the promotion and the organization at that time. So he was green as all could be. And a lot of people did not like Jim Hellwig. They did not like wrestling with him, the Ultimate Warrior, because he was so green that he used to not take bumps but hurt people. Now, in the sport of professional wrestling, there's a thing called taking bumps. You need to learn how to take a bump. This is taught to you in wrestling school. You give a bump and you take one, meaning you try to hit them and make it look as believable as possible without, maximizing the damage. And you need to know how to take one. You need to know how to take that punch where they punch you, yet they hold back a little bit, and you need to know how to make that look believable. This guy did know how to take one, but didn't know how to give one, right? So he would actually really hurt and hit these wrestlers. When you're hurting and hitting a wrestler, they take it personal. You become a locker room pariah. People are not trying to fuck with you because you're trying to end people's careers sooner than they should be ended, and you're fucking with guys' livelihood. And in wrestling, that's a big no-no. You get a bad stigma, a bad taste in your mouth. Everyone ain't fucking with you, Ultimate Warrior, right? But he had the look. And as long as Vince McMahon and other people were fucking with him that counted, who cares what anyone in that locker room said? He had that thing. So in 1985, he joins wrestling. And he's a Blade Runner. And they actually, for a quick stint in AWA, man, teamed him up with a very well-known guy, Sting. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't remember that. But he did team up with Sting for a while. And they both had that similar look, that similar style. You could tell both of these guys were going to be pushed. They were both going to get the push so they can get over and so they could be someone within the world of professional sports, meaning wrestling. But they weren't going to be able to do it together. They were two big, bulky, meathead individuals that just clashed in the ring. Their style, they both couldn't wrestle worth shit. Sting was a little bit more jumpy, meaning he was had a little bit more aerial tactics to his game, and probably was a little bit more well-versed in wrestling. But they were both two muscle heads that just came out the gym that looked sloppy, but at the same time, they were there, huh? That's what we got for that Saturday morning. So anyways, he proceeds to go to the WWF in 1987. How he got there, I can't call it like an alcoholic, but I do know that he pulls up. Vince McMahon sees the spark, the flame in this guy, and he becomes known as the Dingo Warrior. Now, I remember the Dingo Warrior when I was young. The first match I ever seen was when I seen the Ultimate Warrior was the Dingo Warrior versus Jacques Rougeau. This was in Oakland, California. I was a little kid. I actually got to go and see it. It was a cool match. And I was like, who's this Bob Olso? The Dingo Warrior. So that's the only thing. Give me a ding dong, right? All I know is about the hostess ding dong. I don't know about a Dingo Warrior. But he was pretty good. He was big. He had the nice physique. I could tell that he could possibly make it in the world of wrestling, the World Wrestling Federation. Of course, eventually he fell off. He fell off. That didn't materialize. And they brought him back a year later. And they brought him back billed as the Ultimate Warrior. And this is when he took off. His adrenaline, his roid rage, his pants off, right? The way he came running in and just electrified the stadiums, electrified the arenas he was in. People just couldn't get enough of this guy. And I started to see it play out right before my eyes where they were building this guy to be the next young thing, to be the next Hulkamania style wrestler. You know, he was built from parts unknown. He was built as an unknown person, someone who was out J-catting way out there. Yeah, Warriors, right? He was all pumped up, sweating everywhere, spitting everywhere. He was just the type of wrestler people wanted to watch. And people were tired of the same old Hulkamaniac saying their prayers and eating their vitamins. They wanted something new. And when the Warrior came along with all his adrenaline and rushing to the ring, people were like, there he is. That's the new one. That's the one that's going to take the WWF to the next level. And so they started this build-up. This big buildup. And like I said, anyone that's a wrestling fan that knows anything about the Ultimate Warrior knows that the pinnacle, the catalyst of his career was being built in WrestleMania 5. Oh, Spencer, I'm off. WrestleMania 6. Don't fuck with me. That was the Mega Powers exploded in 5. The tournament was in 4. 3 was him and Andre the Giant. 2 was King Kong Bundy. 1 was boop, 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 Roddy Piper and Mr. T. I already know. Anyways, look, WrestleMania 6, the Ultimate Challenge. Now, this buildup was big. It happened slowly. It crept up on us over a year. I remember when they were in the Royal Rumble. They were the last 2 survivors in the Royal Rumble, of course. Or not the last 2 survivors, but they met up as 2 of the last 2 opponents. They had their little confrontation face-to-face, nose-to-nose. The buildup was real. And as a young kid, I thought wrestling was real. I was involved. I was invested. So at the end of the day, man, I didn't know who was going to win. And I can remember that day with 2 of my friends watching it on pay-per-view. Simone, pay-per-view. How I ended up convincing my mom to get that shit. I still owe her to this day. Shh, don't tell her nothing, right? But I was able to work that. Like, come on, mom, please. I'll do anything. I'll walk to the store to go get you cigaros with the note. I'll even use food stamps without being embarrassed, right? Anything I had to do. But I watched it. And I was heartbroken. You know, I was a big Hulk fan. So I was going for Hulk Hogan. In retrospect now, as I'm an adult and I know it is for what it is, I could see where they were passing the torch. I could see the reason behind them doing what they did. But I still honestly think Hulk Hogan stole the show. And I believe that night right there, not only being the greatest night for the Ultimate Warrior, finally capturing the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship, as well as already being the Intercontinental Champion, because the man had it like that. I believe that was 2 things in his life. That was the highest moment and the lowest moment. It was the highest moment being he's achieved, he hit the pinnacle. Where do I go from here? Lowest moment meaning Hulk Hogan still stole the show. That showed right there that Ultimate Warrior could only go so far in the game. He would never be that one. I seen it all one night, even as a little kid, like, okay, he won. All right. He won. But at the same time, who cares? Right? And this was the attitude that a lot of wrestling fans had toward him. Who cares? Now, behind the scenes, there was a lot of things going on. For the next year, Ultimate Warrior billed as the heavyweight champion, got into a lot of different fights, got into a lot of different things with a lot of different wrestlers. But behind the scenes, man, he took it as a business. You know, he wasn't as committed. Remember I said he wasn't committed from a young kid to wrestling. Wrestling was a 9-to-5 job for Jim Hellwig for the Ultimate Warrior. It wasn't something that he was fully committed to. I mean, if he was doing his job, he was going to do his job right. He was going to stay in that gym looking nice. He was going to continue to do what he does. But at the same time, it wasn't something that he was wholly, solely, dearly, nearly in his heart. It wasn't something that he just had to have, right? So the negotiations started to break down. He knew he was the man at that time and that he was worth a lot of money. Vince McMahon said, fuck you, puto. You ain't got nothing coming. And of course, conversations and willing and dealing with contracts broke down. So in 1997, or excuse me, before 1997, he walked away. You know, he walked away and he disappeared for a while. The Ultimate Warrior disappeared. He was off the radar and kind of was like easy come, easy go. People were already tired of his gimmick at that time. It was getting played out. We were more towards heading towards realism, meaning more realistic. We wanted to see a little bit more gritty, itty, beautiful cover girl. We wanted to see some crazy shit, and that's when ECW came along later on, and it got real ugly, right? We were headed towards that as a wrestling fan, and we wanted to get away from prayers and vitamins and rubber bands and colorful fucking neon pink tights. Charlie, we weren't into that. We wanted to get fucking, we wanted to see the Undertaker, right? Straight, dong, real talk. Anyways. So he disappears for a minute. Of course, he springs back up in the year 1996 for a quick couple months to work out a contract dispute again with the WWE. It doesn't take notice. No one's really tripping on him. He disappears just as quick as he comes in. And then he ends up in WCW where he plays along with the storyline because Hulk Hogan is now in WCW. And it's like the ghost of Christmas past. There's the Ultimate Warrior. Hulk Hogan sees him in a reflection in the middle of the ring. For those of you that know that match, they know that match. It played out in Halloween Havoc. And it was kind of like a ghost of Hulk Hogan's past, being that he never had beaten the Ultimate Warrior. It fizzled out. It didn't, nothing happened on it. And the Ultimate Warrior faded into obscurity where he sprung up again years later, being a blogger on YouTube. And of course, everyone that doesn't know, he was doing a lot of ranting and raving, a lot of shoots, meaning he was shooting in on a lot of wrestlers, speaking and exposing the business for what it was. The Ultimate Warrior had a big list of characters that he had problems with, and he was quick to vocalize that and let it be known. And a lot of stigma went on his name for this. A lot of people stopped liking the Ultimate Warrior. I continued to like the Ultimate Warrior because I recognized him for his accomplishments of what he did in such a short amount of time. Not being a great wrestler, not being a good character, but at the same time, man, being the Ultimate Warrior. Even to this day, a lot of people are clicking on this right now just because it's the Ultimate Warrior. He garners that attention. It was weird. People just gravitated towards him. Everyone has a little bit of warrior in them, and everybody wanted to live vicariously through the Ultimate Warrior. So that's what it is. Unfortunately, when it was able to finally sit down with some of these old cast of characters that he wrestled with and kind of mend some fences, you know. I know he had a big heated rivalry going on in real life with Hulk Hogan where a lot of words were said in between the two, more so on the Ultimate Warrior side. He decided that if for no other reason, he should sit down with some of these individuals and kind of mend fences, kind of let water be under the bridge. And I think Ultimate Warrior knew it was coming. You got to understand, when a lot of people indulge in alcohol, they indulge in steroids, they indulge in abuse of their body, they go at a young age. You know, in 2014, April 8th, man, the Ultimate Warrior succumbed to a heart attack due to the abuse that he put on his body. And it was a trip because we had just seen the Ultimate Warrior on WWE Raw a couple nights before, looking sweaty and pale and looking like he was going through some things. And he was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was the Hall of Fame weekend, WrestleMania weekend. And this was the first time that he was coming out of the mist from parts unknown, right? The Little Warriors came through. And it was good seeing him. It was good seeing how he looked nowadays. And then he succumbed the next night in a hotel room to a heart attack. You know, never to be able to be immortalized or see it like he should have. But, you know, it happens. It happens. You know, he is in the Hall of Fame. He got into the Hall of Fame. He deserves it, rightfully so. He is the Ultimate Warrior. He'll forever be, his name will forever be embedded in, you know, wrestling history. You know, and he deserves everything that he got. Like I said, he was the very first WWF World's Heavyweight Champion and Intercontinental Champion simultaneously. I know nowadays they do title for title matches. This was the first one billed as the big mega extravaganza ultimate challenge. And it was one of the better matches I've ever seen, even to this day. Maybe not technically, but the build-up, the hype was real. It was probably almost as much hype and build-up as, of course, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, which we all know was probably one of the greatest matches ever to have happened. Anyways, with that being said, man, rest in peace, Jim Hellwig, also known as the Ultimate Warrior. You know, life moves on. The Warriors will continue to breathe the Warrior's name into existence. Like I said, I'm a big-time Ultimate Warrior fan. I'll forever rock with his name. But at the same time, you know Hulk Hogan should have won, bitch. You know he should have won. Anyways, with that being said, I hope that you like these spills that I drop every Sunday, these profiles on WWF, WCW, fucking NWA wrestlers, ECW, Smoky Mountain. We're going to talk all kinds of different territories. If you like this, please hit that like and subscribe. If you don't, you can hit that thumbs down. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to do what I does because it's for the love of my childhood. It's for the love of the 90s. It's for the love of the 80s. It's for the love of wrestling fans all around, man. We got to have something for us, Kendall. Bang, bang. You didn't know a gangster used to watch wrestling, huh? Show did. Show do. So let's get fuck Roman Reigns and in that fashion. Bang, bang.